Coming up on Chicago Bears Now, the Bears actually caught some pretty big breaks from the NFL. Dare I say, got a gift from the NFL with the release of their 2026 schedule. We're going to talk about some of those schedule nuggets here on today's show. And guys, we do it every year when the schedule drops. Our way too early record prediction video will drop on the channel soon. Not exactly sure when. It'll be sometime this weekend. So subscribe, turn on notifications. That way you don't miss that video. I'm Harrison Graham, and we are presented by Prize Picks. And did the Bears get some gifts after all on the schedule this year? The answer is yes, despite it being a hard schedule in terms of the opponents they're playing. Now, if you missed it all last night, we went live, we broke down the schedule, so on and so forth. This is the week-to-week starting in Carolina. 3 straight home games against the Vikings, the Eagles on Monday night, and then the Jets. A couple of roadies against the Packers and Falcons, followed by the Patriots at home on Thursday Night Football. At Seattle on Monday Night Football, Bucs at home on Sunday night. Week 10 bye, Saints at home, Lions on Thanksgiving in Detroit, Jags at home in Week 13. In Miami in Week 14, at Buffalo Saturday night in Week 15, Packers at home on Christmas Day, Lions at home the following Sunday, and then wrapping things up in Minnesota in Week 18. But despite having a lot of tough opponents, which we knew going in, the Bears are first in the NFL in net rest advantage. What does that mean? How many rest advantage days at getting an extra day here because the team played on Monday versus your Sunday, so on and so forth, over the course of an 18-week schedule? Bears are plus 15 days. I should have a plus sign on the bottom of the screen there, but you can see on the top of the chart there on the screen there, plus 15. That leads the NFL. That is huge for Chicago. It's big for any team, but to me, well-coached teams benefit from this greatly. Why? Because you give a smart coaching staff extra time to prepare, they're going to find new wrinkles. They're going to identify something on tape, and they're going to take advantage of the additional time they are given to prepare for that opponent. Plus, just the obvious one is the wear and tear on the body. Well, if you're consistently getting extra rest time compared to your opponents over the course of 18 weeks, that is beneficial more often than not from an injury standpoint, from a wear and tear standpoint. You're going to be on the positive side of that as well. So that is a massive, massive break here. And these 4 games stand out in the rest advantage. Seattle, Week 8 in Seattle. Look, that's going to be a hard game. On my record prediction, I probably will not pick the Bears to win, but they got a better chance because they're going to have 3 extra days to prepare, so I certainly like that. You get the Saints coming off the bye week. That's kind of standard. But sometimes off your bye week, your opponent's also off the bye, so sometimes it can be net 0 there. Week 13 against the Jags, 2 extra days to prepare because you're playing in Detroit on Thanksgiving before then. And then your second game against Detroit at home is plus 3 days as well. What also stands out here? Not only do you have net rest advantage of 2 days or more in these 4 games, 3 of those 4 are at home. So you're not traveling either. So that's a really, really big positive. Your only net rest disadvantage games that are at least a day, Week 4 against the Jets, minus 1 day. I'm okay with that. I guess it's like minus 1.5 because you play Monday night, but Jets at home, it's early in the season, not a lot of wear and tear. I feel okay about that one. And then Week 9 against the Bucs, yeah, you're about a minus 1.5 days because you're in Seattle, flying back cross-country home. That could be a tough one, but it is in prime time on Sunday night, so it's not as egregious there either. And again, you're playing at home, so it could be worse. Not only is plus 15 the most in the NFL this season, it is the second most since 2002. And a lot of these teams that get these rest advantage, these outliers, these, a lot of rest advantage compared to other teams, they're almost always playoff teams. It is a clear trend. You look last year, 5 teams had plus 7 or more. The top 3 won 12 or more games. Seattle, Los Angeles, and San Francisco, and they all played each other. So like 3 good teams in a tough division, right? Detroit last year, 9-8. What's a point I made earlier? Good, smart coaching staffs. What did Detroit lose last year? Both their coordinators. They had to bench their OC essentially, and their defensive coordinator, Kelvin Shepard, was a first-time play caller. So They did not take advantage of that with their coaching. And then Miami 7-10, who was horrible, but they still squeaked out 7 wins by taking advantage of the net rest advantage. So this is a big, big break for the Chicago Bears. Don't get it twisted. And there's other things they can benefit from as well that they should take advantage of. We'll talk about that as well, but we are sponsored by Prize Picks. America's #1 sports pick app is Prize Picks. It is the place to go if you love daily fantasy sports or if you want to try it out for the first time. You got playoff hockey, playoff basketball, baseball season. How about a little Cubs-White Sox action? There's a lot going on right now, and to set a daily fantasy Prize Picks lineup, you just pick 2 or more players up to 6 in a single lineup, and if you hit, you win money. How about a 6-player lineup? More on Cade Cunningham's 41.5 points, rebounds, and assists. That has become a system play for your boy. I feel great about that one. Less than Dean Wade 3 points. That is going to be a fun sweat. But you know what? He's got 0, 0, and 3 in his last 3 games. Give me the less there. I got more on Donovan Mitchell's goblin points there. It's a chance to close out their opponent, Detroit. James Harden, rebounds and assists, more than 9.5. That combo stat's been a big winner recently as well, especially as a goblin play. Anthony Edwards, more on his points. Goblin, he's got to deliver or their season's over. Then I took less on Julius Randle points. He has not been good. 20 to win 390. Download the Prize Picks app today. Use code HMA when you play your first $5 lineup to get an extra $50 in lineups. That is code HMA when you play your first $5 lineup to get an extra $50 in lineups with Prize Picks. Click the link in the comments and description to download the app. Okay, another break the Bears got this year. Now, they're not alone in this, but less than half the league, 14 teams, have 0 games on the schedule where their opponent is coming off a bye week. In other words, where their opponent has the additional week of rest coming off their bye. The Bears are one of them. They do not have a single game this year where they're facing a team coming off their bye week. There are 2 teams that have 4 of those. That's a big difference. 0 versus 4. The Philadelphia Eagles and the Los Angeles Chargers have 4 games this year where their opponent's coming off a bye. That is a major disadvantage for those teams. And for the Bears, it's a huge advantage. Now, again, they're not isolated in that 14 teams have it, but when you have a lot of tough opponents on the schedule, that's a nice little break that you get that the NFL provided here. We talked about this the other day. I'll mention this as well. Air miles traveled. Now, look, the 49ers, the Seahawks, the Jets, the Giants, teams in the far corners of the coast, they're always going to travel more, but Bears don't have an international game. Bears have 9 games at home. Their 3rd fewest air miles traveled this year with 10,676 projected miles through the air this season, whereas the teams at the top are at 38,000. So, look, I'm not sitting here acting like the Bears have an easy schedule. They don't. But the NFL did the Bears some solids here. I mean, we got to be honest here. I think that is fair to say, and I think it kind of evens it out a bit. Like, yeah, it's going to be tough to go out there and win, 10, 11, 12, 13 games. It is for any schedule, but the Bears are facing a lot of 2025 playoff opponents. But you get some nice little rest advantages. There's a few quirks in the schedule. We're like, oh, that helps. That certainly doesn't hurt. So then you factor this in as well. The Bears are in primetime 7 times. That's 4 night games and 3 standalone games. And look, that throws off the routine a little bit. But another thing that's nice for the Bears, 4 of these are at home out of the 7, including Philadelphia on Monday night in week 3. Thursday night against the Patriots in week 7, at Seattle in week 8. But again, you're coming off a Thursday game, so extra time at least. Week 9 at home against Sunday night, slight less advantage because you played Monday the week before. And then you got Detroit and Thanksgiving. I think that's the hardest game on the schedule. Thursday night, short week. Road game against a really good dome team. At Buffalo Saturday night, which, by the way, the Bills play, I think, Sunday night the week before. So for a roadie, that's not too bad. And then week 16 against the Packers on Christmas Day at home. So 4 of the 7 are at home, and you have the rest advantage in 2 of the 3 games. So, yeah, you're in primetime a lot, which is just fun in general, but from a routine standpoint, you can throw things off a little bit. But 4 of 7 are at home, and you have the rest advantage in 2 of 3 games. So in the end, that works out pretty well. So, yes, do you have the toughest strength of schedule in terms of 2025 opponent win percentage? Yes, you do. 6 toughest based on Vegas projected win totals. Yeah, those are facts. But also, we don't know how certain teams are going to be, and to all of the other nuggets that we just pointed out, rest advantage, air miles traveled, more home games than road games, including 9 of your last 16 at home. Like, flying to Carolina week 1 isn't that big of a deal because it's the first game of the season. It's not like you're coming off like all this travel throughout the course of the year. Like, a week 1 road game is kind of preferable in that sense because it's not like you're like in your season-long routine yet. So I think that's an advantage as well. So I think multiple things can be true at once. Bears have a hard schedule. They play a lot of good teams, but they caught a lot of breaks here. It could have been a lot worse. I mean, imagine if they had this level of gauntlet of opponents and you were a negative rest advantage team. The Chargers have negative 24 days in rest this year. Negative 24. That is an unbelievably tough scheduling draw that they got from the league. The Bears are plus 15. So for having tough opponents, it's about as good of a schedule as you possibly could have asked for. And just also, too, the week-to-week throughout weeks 1 to week 18, I think it's a pretty balanced schedule. It's not like you have multiple egregious tough stretches. So I actually think Chicago was on the right side of things here for a lot of things. Plus, shout out to Thieneman Season on Twitter. The Bears are favored in 12 of 17 games. So Vegas likes how Chicago sits after the schedule has come out. Now, some of those are close, like -1.5 at home. That's, if that was a neutral game, that would probably be a pick 'em if it would be, or even maybe a 1-point underdog. But still, if you're favored in 12 of 17, Vegas is basically saying, yeah, you're a 12-5 team. And I think that's very possible for the Chicago Bears. So I feel good about how things fell when we knew the opponents going into the schedule. Okay, predict the Bears' 2026 record, 17 games. How do the Bears come out? Again, I'll have my record predictions soon, so you drop your predictions. I'll have my video on the channel as well, which is why you should subscribe and turn on notifications. That way you know exactly when that video and every other video drops. My name is Harrison Graham. We'll see you guys soon. Bear down.